perfect timing, Dr. Gary. We're going to call to order the regular board meeting, for Tuscaloosa City Schools. It is September the 2nd, 2025. Let's have a brief period of silence, and we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, roll tide.
You said that so convincing.
That's how I felt. Let me show you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Yeah, board, may I have a motion to adopt the September 2nd, 2025 regular board meeting agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Be adopted. Board, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the August 19th, 2025 regular board meeting? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Be approved. Public comments on non-agenda items, none. Which brings us to item 6, informational reports. Tonight we will hear from our CSFO, Mr. Jay Duke. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, superintendent, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege and honor to bring the financial report through June 30th, our 9th month of the year, and I would like to start off with something different tonight on that, and it's what I'm going to refer to in the future, if you like it, is as a financial dashboard. And what I plan to do is highlight 2 to 4 items that we'll look at in more detail later, but I think 3 items to highlight for this time period is the flattening off of sales tax there at the top. There's the last 4 years of sales tax. Then we'll talk briefly about instructional expenditures, how 2/3 of our general fund budget is in instructional and instructional support. Thank you, Chris. And then last but not least, and something that we're very, very proud of, and that's that our general administrative expenditures across all sources of funds are 3.8%. The state recommends 5%. We have now reached a full 1.2%. That may not sound a lot, but in over a $150 million budget, close to $190 million now, that's over $1 million. So that's real money. And again, 3.8%, a 1.2% reduction, again, may not sound a lot, but that's hundreds of thousands, over $1 million. So now into the kind of a recap of what we'll see. It's property tax, car tag tax, and sales tax. And I will start with the property tax. We collected a little bit in June, and we think we probably have wound down now. That'll probably be the last month that we received property tax, and we have met our budget for FY25 in property tax. Car tag tax, a lot lesser amount, but equally important to our local initiatives. This is coming in right now at $2.5 million, about the same amount as last year, slightly above, and we fully expect to meet our targeted budget amount of $3.1 million. Again, that's car tag tax. Sales tax, I mentioned earlier the flattening off, and you've heard that over the last 2 or 3 years now, I guess, but we think SSUT, in fact, we know SSUT has got a lot to do with that. I don't know if you saw in the news, but I believe effective, I think yesterday, the groceries tax went down a little bit, 0.25% or 0.5%, so that has to factor in some as well. But you can see we were slightly behind last year's, not enough of an amount to be concerned at this point, but we are concerned about the long-term effects of SSUT, which is affecting our budget to the tune of about $5 million in SSUT tax that should be on this report that's not. Here's our general fund management report, general fund, and nothing out of the ordinary, and in fact, we are tracking right now good budgetarily on our expenditures. The target through 9 months, of course, would be 75% of the budget. And you will see that we've spent 72.6%. That is good. I've got the little bus, I guess you'd call that an emoji up there, the bus on the report. That's to show you when you see that 81.9% in auxiliary services, that's the buses that we bought back in April and May. That should trend out over the next few months towards year end and kind of level off and end close to budget, hopefully. Otherwise, nothing really out of the ordinary. I find it interesting that our current year expenditures of $11,666,000 is real close to the amount from the prior year. So that's a good thing over on those two right-hand columns under expenditures. Here's our overall all funds report, Exhibit F2A as the state calls it, and this is the form that we actually send to the state Department of Education. I'm going to piggyback on the next slide off of this slide to focus on something that you saw earlier on the financial dashboard, and that's our general and administrative services. So far what that means where you see that arrow pointing to the 5.2 million on expenditures of 139 million in total, that's 3.8%. That's excellent. That's probably the lowest percentage we've ever had, at least as far as I could go back on the records, which is over 22 years. Mr. Chairman, with that, I will conclude the financial report through the month of June, but of course be glad to take any questions.
Okay, board, any questions for Mr. Duke? Hey, and Jay, I would like to further highlight that 3.8%. You know, y'all work really hard. We caught a lot of heat during the referendum for central office is too big, central office is paid too much, and y'all work really hard to get that number down, and we appreciate that. I know it's come with some inefficiencies at spots, but also think I recall correctly at that PARCA data review session that we were one of the lower school systems, if I remember correctly, in that particular line item in the budget. So job well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Team effort.
Anything else from the board? All right, thank you, Mr. Duke. Item 7 is introduction of motions, resolutions for first reading. 7A, we will now receive, discuss first reading of the FY26 budget for Tuscaloosa City School System.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, this is the budget presentation, proposed budget for FY26. I'm going to read this preface, which is provided by the Alabama State Department of Education, if I may. This document is presented to aid in the communication of financial information to the general public and to solicit input into the budgeting process for public education in the Tuscaloosa City School System. The attached proposed annual budget is developed for a fiscal year beginning October 1st and ending September 30th and includes funds received and generated from state, federal, local, and other financing sources. All budget reports are prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and comply with reporting requirements outlined in the Financial Planning, Budgeting, and Reporting System for Alabama Public Schools. The budgeting process is designed to develop for the school system a tool in order to provide an overall plan for the use of financial resources that will best serve the needs of the current student body, and to encourage the concept of site-based management. With the implementation of site-based management, decisions of the use of the financial resources are to be made by the system's personnel responsible for accomplishing the desired results. In addition to the financial plan presented in the proposed budget, the school system is required to submit to the State Department of Education 9 other operational plans. These additional plans are as follows: capital projects, student transportation, professional development, technology, special education, at-risk students, career and technical education, federal programs, and school safety. A housekeeping matter, as this is a public budget hearing, the first of two. To my right, on the table over there, you will see a response to review of proposed annual budget. This is a state-provided form, and if somebody would like to make written comments or input to the budget, please do so. There's a pen and some of these forms on that table, again, to my right. Now to the budget presentation. This is October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. A little bit of background on this budget and the timeline and the process. Ordinarily, I would say we spent the last 7 to 9 months working on this budget. In this case, it was 12 to 14 months. The reason I say that is we mentioned the referendum last September, and before that happened, we had to decide pivot points on whether if it passed or if it did not, which direction we were going. So this budget's really been about 14 months in the making. Of course, the referendum did not pass, which turned us to personnel reduction starting literally the day after the referendum. I put October there, but we really started before that, and that process has been ongoing and has shifted a little bit over time. And one reason it has shifted is the other items that I'll mention here. The board lowered the reserve policy from 2 months to 1.5 months. I think that's huge and will be an asset going forward. In April 2025, the legislature approved the Advancement in Technology Fund again. That's one-time money, but it is significant, and we are able to use that in many different ways to help our budget. Also, and something new, and we'll touch on it a little bit more later, we touched on it in the board work session a week or so ago, is the new RAISE Act. That's recurring money, and we'll talk briefly here in a moment. I'll have a slide on the RAISE Act and what areas it touches and the amounts. Also, last but not least, is our current budget is tracking well. We just saw that, so I think that was a good lead in. Our current budget is slightly below what we intended to spend. We always budget conservatively, and that's going to pay us dividends come year end and then going into the future. Our state funds, and the biggest component of our budget is the state foundation program, and I know you are familiar with that, and it is based on student count, average daily membership, also known as ADM. There's a look back over the last 7 or 8 years or so of our enrollment. It's increasing, so we've got an increased amount from our state foundation program, and so I just kind of want to give you a look of what our enrollment is, which drives a lot of our funding. Overall, our budget revenues are here. The state there on the left, 46%. That's basically the state foundation program. So that makes up 46% of our budget. Federal 12% and 42% local. When you see that 42% local, that's what we looked at earlier when we looked at property tax, car tag tax, and sales tax. Along with we get an appropriation from the city, and so that makes up our local funds. Speaking of local funds, again, there's a breakdown of how that looks. 45% property tax, 43% sales tax, and 7% city appropriations, and then a small sliver of some other items. On that financial dashboard, on my previous presentation, we talked about how 2/3 of our expenditures in the general fund were salaries and benefits. You kind of see that right there broken down of what that is, mostly in teachers, 59%, principals, 5%, and then in that 29%, you've got a lot of categories. That's almost like a catch-all, anything from bus drivers, child nutrition program, lunchroom workers, administration, our trades, and various other miscellaneous categories, but again, the bulk being teachers. The RAISE Act, this is new to the fold. I think this is a positive, really good thing for this, positive for the Tuscaloosa City Schools, and that we check, I think, 4 of the 5 boxes that the RAISE Act touches: poverty, special ed, English language learners, and gifted. There's a breakdown of those amounts. You see poverty being the biggest at $1.1 million, special ed $908,000, and that was a good help to our budget this year. It was a net increase to us of $1.7 million. This slide you've seen, I guess, every year I've been here, and I will continue to put it in there because I think it's very important. Those local funds that we talked about earlier, this is where they go. And this touches a wide swath of things that are unique and special to the Tuscaloosa City Schools. And I always like to show this slide and kind of give you an idea where those local funds go. And it can't go without saying the progress that we've made in the classroom. If there's a theme for this presentation tonight, if you don't remember anything, I hope you remember ROI, of what has been returned to the students, the parents, the citizens of Tuscaloosa in higher reading proficiency, increased college and career readiness, verified post-high school plans, and extracurricular activities. Here is the form that we will send in to the state of Alabama. There's our summary budget across all funds. And if I could just summarize this, and I'll be glad to open it up for questions, comments. And in summary, this budget strategically pulls from a previously built-up reserve to project a 2-month ending reserve balance of approximately $26 million at the end of FY 2026. That is a half a month above your board policy of 1.5 months, or said another way, $6 million above the board policy. Also, the projected ending reserve balance is $13 million above the state-required 1-month reserve. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll pause, be glad to go back to any slides, take any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Duke. And board, remember, this is a first reading. The second reading will be when, Mr. Duke?
Next Tuesday, the 9th.
So this September the 9th, next Tuesday, will be the second reading, and we will be asking the board to approve this budget. In the interim, are there any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, thank you, Mr. Duke. We look forward to the final presentation next week.
My
Thank you,
pleasure.
sir. All right, item number 7 is receive the revision of policy 5.10.1 over. Dr. Cameron, good evening, sir. As I understand it, you'll ask us to waive a second reading. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
All right, thank you, sir. If you'll go ahead and make your presentation.
So this is the revision of policy 5.10.10. I'm making it available for all non-probationary employees. The policy review committee, they were okay with this policy revision, so we're presenting it tonight for approval with a waiving of the second reading.
Okay, board, first of all, may I have a motion to waive the second reading.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll so waive the second reading, so board may have a motion to approve the revision of policy 5.10.10.
So moved.
Second by Dr. Karen Thompson-Jackson. Questions or discussion? And as I understand it, Dr. Cameron, we're revising the policy to basically be in line of how we were practically operating anyway. Is that
Yes, sir,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any additional questions? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? That'll be approved. Thank you, sir. Item 8, consent agenda items 8A through 8F. Board, may I have a motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Those will be approved. Thank you, board. Item 9, regular agenda items for final adoption. 9A, approve the superintendent's recommendations regarding changes in personnel. Dr. Cameron?
Yes, sir, I've got superintendent's recommendations regarding changes in personnel. I also have a supplemental list. I'll go over both with you. Starting on page 1, you have 6 resignations, 1 new classified personnel, 1 rehire of a classified personnel, 2 transfer of certified personnel, 2 25-26 STOA contracted employees, 1 25-26 Eastwood Middle School athletic supplement, 14 part-time extended day tutors, 1 25-26 volunteer coach, and 1 supplement for teaching during the planning period. For the supplemental list, you have 1 resignation, 1 new classified personnel, 2 reassignments, 5 part-time extended day tutors, 4 supplements for teaching during the planning period, 2 25-26 STOA contracted employees, 7 25-26 Northridge High School athletic supplement, and 1 contracted coach for 25-26.
All right, thank you, Dr. Cameron. Board, are there any set-asides for a separate vote? Last call for set-asides. Hearing none, board may have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any questions or discussion by number only, please? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Those will be approved. Thank you, sir. Item 10, unfinished business. We do not have any to attend to. General announcements. We'll have a called board meeting next week. That should be 5:30, right? 5:30, the Regions Room, where we will also vote on the budget, and there will be a board work session immediately following, and then September 16th will be the next regular board meeting. Any events that the board would like to bring to our attention this week? We all survived Erica's birthday, right?
No,
Happy birthday,
Erica
Eugene.
survived her birthday.
Okay.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. Hearing nothing further, we will stand adjourned.